What's up, Team Diadem? We're back with another Courtside Sessions episode. I'm Diadem Kev, and today I went to our pro shop and I tossed on the closest thing I could find to Carolina Blue because we have an absolute legend on the podcast today. A guy that used to tear up the hardwood, but he traded that in for the pickleball court. If you don't know who he is, just Google him. That's probably the easiest way to do it. He's got too many accolades for me to run through. We're with Tyler Hansbrough. Tyler, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I got to get you some more Carolina Blue gear, by the way. But yeah, I'm glad. Thanks for having me on, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, 100%. And everybody might be wondering, why do we have a basketball legend in the podcast today? And it's all because of pickleball, right?
Yeah. So we have a mutual buddy, Brian Rosenthal, who uh, lives in North Carolina, same city, Chapel Hill, as I do, and uh, he's done a lot of things in tennis. Played at NC State, very well connected, and we have gotten into pickleball. We're fully addicted. We play every week, and so that's our connection.
And, Brian is the North Carolina State guy. Wondering how you feel about that when you're playing against him on the court.
uh, you know what? He is a very passionate state fan, by the way, and which he's an alum and played tennis there, so you'd expect. But you know what, man? I kind of enjoy it. He doesn't try to hide how he feels at all, and that's part of what makes him special. Is even when he plays on the court, is some of his outbursts and rages, and I love it. And we connected instantly. But yeah, not everyone has the good traits. Everybody's got to have some baggage with them.
That's
He
right.
went to NC State.
Yeah, that's his big flaw there, huh? And let's talk a little bit about how you got into pickleball. Did you play it all while you were still hooping, or is it all post retirement?
No, actually, I'm glad I found pickleball when I did. Um, so I had multiple knee surgeries on my left knee, and it got to the point where I couldn't play basketball anymore, and so um, that's kind of when I found pickleball. I was going through a lot of rehab. I finally got healthy, and my brother had really gotten into tennis. He played tennis pretty much like recreationally, uh, all through growing up, and him and his wife were really into tennis. Listen, I tried to hit a tennis ball. It just wasn't going to happen anytime soon. Uh, and I had played a lot of ping pong, so kind of pickleball was that middle ground. And it was kind of, getting a little bit of hype. Pickleball wasn't, what it is right now, but you start to see it on social media and you can see the buildup. And as soon as we went on the pickleball court, we were fully addicted. We started having, family rivalries. We were playing way too much when we first started playing, like 3 hours multiple times a day, waking up like we had just, gone 10 rounds with Tyson. But, it's, yeah, it's been great. It's a very addicting sport and we're very competitive. So that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah, we call that the pickleball bug here, and it seems to bit everybody in the country so far, and it's starting to spread internationally too, which is really cool. And I'd be remiss also to not mention that your brother Ben, when I told our social media manager Jasmine that we were doing this, she said, "Oh, he's married to Lauren, right? She's on social media. I see her playing pickleball all the time, so she might be the more famous in the pickleball community here."
Yeah, she's a little bit of an influencer. She's very active on social media, and she is fully addicted as well. And listen, both my brother and sister-in-law are some of the most competitive people you'll meet, and they play together. And in pickleball can bring some emotions out of you that you didn't know that you even had. You can get explosive out there, and I've been watching them from day one go through the peaks and valleys. You can only imagine what it's like trying to play with your wife or anyone you're close with. Because I played with Ben as well, my brother, and it's been fun to watch them. They're both high level players. They love the game. They have 3 courts at their house, so they better be good. But they play all the time.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I think that in tennis and racket sports, you see a lot of brothers come up and rise through the ranks. Like the Bryan brothers comes to mind. And for you to be able to play with your brother and kind of have an activity together? Was that something that was really cool for you guys?
No, we were hovering on. We're explosive. Listen, Ben has like he's my all time favorite teammate. I played basketball with him. We played a year in the NBA. But in pickleball, like, man, I remember we went to nationals and we just didn't really gel. Sometimes you can get a little explosive, and it's tough to play with somebody you're really close with. But Ben is he's really put a lot of work into his game. He's a much better player than me. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I'm not at his level quite yet, even though I'm trying to work my way there. So I was kind of holding him back, and sometimes I think it's good to kind of mix it up. I don't think you should play with the same partner, in every tournament. I think it's good for players to, get different partners and mix it up. But yeah, we still, when I go to Kentucky, we'll drill, we'll play. But yeah, we're not competing right now.
Okay. And then one of the things that I was most interested in asking you about is something that I think a lot of pickleball players now were former athletes, maybe not to the level that you played on the biggest stages, but they played sports and then have found pickleball as a competitive outlet and something to stay active. Is that something that you've found as well?
Well, for me, when I found pickleball, I was kind of going through a weird phase in life where, my life, I didn't know life without basketball. So I had just stepped away from the game, and I, as a professional basketball player, I had this massive amount of free time, and sitting on the couch. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? That's a big transition for any professional athlete is when they step away from the game, trying to figure out and trying to get their life and balance together. And pickleball, that's when I found pickleball and I started playing every day. Like I didn't sit at home and get in my head and, start to build anxiety. No, pickleball came to me. I started meeting people outside of the basketball community, made a huge network of great people and people that would call and get me out to the courts. So it's been really good for my mental health as well. I think pickleball is great for, people's mental health, not necessarily – that it's just a fun sport and it's competitive. There's other aspects about pickleball. I mean, I'm a competitive player and I wish that I could get good enough to be a pro at some point, but that's not realistic because I'm older. The game's getting better and young guys and, kind of trending up, and the game's just going to evolve and keep getting better and better.
Oh, 100%. And I think that you hit on a really cool point there about the pickleball community, and how much of a impact has your local community had on your pickleball game and just being kind of inviting and that sort of thing. Because I think that's really one of the key elements of the sport all across the country.
Yeah, I think the one thing about pickleball is like it brings a whole, yeah, it's heavy tennis, heavy racket people, but even there's like this community outside of racket sports that comes into pickleball because it's so easy. You wouldn't get that in tennis. And, I think that, the community has really like I've networked, I've met people, and like it's given me a little bit of a group of friends and a little bit of a community outside of pretty much my whole life. Everybody knows from basketball are connected to basketball. So, it's shown me that aspect that, I can and succeed and, life without basketball will be okay and I can do fine without it.
That's awesome, man. And I want to talk a little bit about your basketball career because this podcast is typically geared towards junior racket sport players and their families. And you came from Missouri. I'm not sure if that's a basketball hotbed off the top of my head, but what was that journey like for you coming up in the ranks and being a really solid player from Missouri?
Yeah, I'm from Poplar Bluff, Missouri. It's a small town, about 2.5 hours south of St. Louis, 2 hours from Memphis, um, kind of in the boot heel of Missouri, right by Arkansas. Very small town, closest airport, St. Louis, 2.5 hours. So, we're kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. But, my basketball journeys, I've always loved the game. I didn't play the game to, be the best player in the world or, I had dreams to get to the NBA, but I loved the game of basketball, and that's why I played it. And eventually at some point I started to get real competitive in trying to work on my game as a student and see what I can do. And how I can evolve my game to get better and better and start winning games and compete. And that's kind of how I got really good. And I always tell young kids when I'm talking to them is master like the fundamentals, especially in a lot of sports today. Is like analytics is a huge deal. So people are trying to shoot like, I'll just use basketball, like they're trying to shoot that 3-point shot when they haven't developed like the easy buckets. The highest percentage shot in basketball analytically is an uncontested layup. Second highest percentage shot is a free throw. Why would you start shooting the three? And I think it's still kind of like that mindset kind of translates to other sports as well.
Mhm.
Like you got to master the fundamentals and the basics of the game before you can start having all these like, high level moves or shots like that. In pickleball, part of the problem is these pros are so good. They make like the backhand flick and all
Mhm.
these really tough shots. They make it look super easy. So guys like me, we take that and we try to put it in games and we're like, why am I just drilling the ball in the net every single time? Well, you're not Ben Johns.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a great point too. The mastering the fundamentals and something that any sport, especially in racket sports, is very important. How were you, from where you came from, able to find resources and those sort of things to develop your game? Were you back in the day on YouTube, or how were you doing those things that helped you rise and elevate your game?
Listen, if you're good enough at any sport, I don't care where you're at. If you're in Antarctica, they'll find you.
Mhm.
Just be that good. You don't need to be found. You don't need to be, putting together a highlight tape or a highlight clip and throwing it on Instagram. You're good enough, they will find you. Believe me, it will travel. And so I'm an example of that. There's not a lot. Southeast Missouri, Poplar Bluffs, town of 17,000 people. Um, it's I started getting better and better, but by about my freshman year in high school, I felt like I was the best player in the area. And so I tell kids is like, don't look at the national level. If you're not the best player in your city or your community, like you don't need to be worrying about guys in New York, California. And still you probably shouldn't be worried about them right now. But I will always say own your territory. You got to be the best player in your city, community, and then word will get out. Then you start, going on the national scale and really making a name for yourself.
No, that's huge, especially for young tennis players out there that compete on the national stage. Oftentimes, they might not even be the best in their region or their state. So I think that's a really good frame of mind to have, and I appreciate that piece. Another thing that I'm curious about, and we talk a lot on this podcast, is injuries and overcoming when you get nicked up and taking care of your body and that sort of thing. Is that stuff that you're still doing in pickleball to this day?
Listen, I tell people like towards the end of my career, like my warm up and just getting my body ready was actually longer than the workout. Like that was something like kind of edged me uh, towards stepping away from the game. Is I was just putting so much effort in to making sure my body was ready to be able to play a basketball game. But for young kids, it's very important to understand your own body and what you do for a warm up routine or taking care of your body doesn't necessarily apply to me because we're so different that some of your strengths might be my weaknesses as far as how we're built in our body. But I was blessed with a lot of great strength coaches. Jonas Saratian at UNC, he doesn't give you a program that's one program for all. He gets to know you and see where you need to be stronger, how you can improve. And so I kind of did that, and I learned how to build my own warm up and how to take care of my body by myself. I didn't rely on a trainer. I think that's very important for young kids is to go into whether a weight room, a gym, and be able to work on your craft without anybody there. Too many kids are relying on a
Mhm.
skills specialist to tell them what to do and how to do it. Um, but it's very important. You got to know your game and how to work and get better. when those people aren't there.
Yeah, that's the self-reliance I think is very important, especially for tennis where you do so much traveling and all that kind of stuff. You know, your coach might not always be there. It's something that you're gonna have to be able to master on your own. And something too that you mentioned was your body a little bit, and obviously you're a big, long guy. What, 6'8"? Uh,
Yeah, 6'9", yeah, 6'9".
okay,
Yeah.
6'9". So just to make sure.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference in basketball.
Oh, I know it. And then how being so long, do you think that's an advantage or a disadvantage in the pickleball game?
I try not to put too much thought into that
Hmm.
because uh, mentally, sometimes when a pickleball mentals can run a little loose. I actually think it's a disadvantage,
Hmm.
and maybe I'm saying that because I crank a lot of balls into the net. But I think I was, talking to somebody who else is tall and played basketball. We play a lot together and drilled yesterday. I was like, sometimes I think my launch angle coming off the paddle is so much higher than shorter players because my swing path is so much longer. And I have focused a little bit on having more of a compact swing because I'm so long. Some of my motions in my swing path are so much longer than other players who are short. I think if I were to do full swings or actually go through, like it's too long or it's going to send the ball too high. So, uh, it does have its advantages around the net. I do Ernie a lot, which
Hmm.
uh, part of that is because I get targeted when I'm playing with higher level players. I know it's coming, but it does have its advantages. But I will say, like the flicks and taking balls out of the air, everyone says to do that, but it's actually kind of a hard skill to master, and it's something that I work on. I work on it so much, but until you really get consistent in that feel, like which takes a while, I really can't apply, my length uh, to my advantage every time because I'm not as consistent with it.
100%. I think that's really interesting. And then I'm curious too what your training looks like. Obviously, you had the basketball training down pretty packed. It took you very far. Are you applying the same type of mindset to your pickleball game?
Man, I hope not. Just because I had put so much into basketball, I just didn't have. It's like I'm not dedicating, pretty much my whole life to
Mhm.
pickleball, but I feel like I'm edging towards that way. It's because I enjoy it and I like want to get better and compete. But yeah, for somebody who doesn't have a racket background,
Mhm.
I think it's very important to get a lot of drilling in, and you just don't get enough reps on certain shots when you just play rec play. And another thing, my advice to people trying to get into pickleball, and if you want to get better, is hire a very good coach that knows how to teach technique.
Mhm.
That's something that I did like maybe almost 6 or 8 months ago. I hired somebody to just teach me technique. That way I can be more consistent when I'm drilling instead of just hitting different shots with different, swing paths every single time. Try to get the proper technique for each shot so you have the same swing path, and when you drill, it's repetitive and it's a very consistent shot.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm really glad you brought up coaching because that's something that I think junior players in the racket sport game, especially their parents, have a hard time sometimes finding the right coach. What do you look for in a coach?
So I think everybody's a little bit different. It's a little bit individualized.
Hmm.
For me is like I need somebody who's going to just tell me straight up honest, like, hey, listen, that shot's never going to work. Some coaches shy away from that. I want somebody to walk over and be like, what are you doing? And then like teach me. Like I've been working with a guy who's been playing pickleball. He's been a pro, but he's taught me a lot of technique. And um, it took me a few coaches and a few guys to kind of find him.
Hmm.
But I think it depends on what you're wanting out of pickleball. Like, if you're just wanting to drill and like hit certain shots, you don't need to go out there and get like a high level coach. But for me, as I went out and found a former pro who played on the APP tour, and he's taught me a lot. He's taught me patterns, he's taught me where to place the ball as well. technique. And, for somebody who doesn't, have the racket background, like I didn't even realize hitting the ball in front of you made such a big difference when I started playing.
Mhm.
Like that was like just a game changing cue for me. And then, staying low on shots and then being still as you hit the ball and not moving when your opponent's like all that stuff I didn't know until somebody taught it to me. And it's like changed my game.
Oh, 100%. And I think one of the interesting things you said there was talking patterns. And I'm wondering how much of the pickleball game, the mental side of it, is something that you gravitate towards. Is that something that you like or you're learning to like or anything like that?
No, I love it. I love the mental side of pickleball. Um, I always thought like golf was the hardest mental sport out there because it always kind of like tempted you. Like, I'd always find myself in the woods and I'd always have like this temptation on the golf course, pull out the 3 wood,
Hmm.
cut it a little bit, put it right there on the green. We know that's not going to happen. Like, I just know that, like, hey, speed the ball up right now, right in front. Like, listen, don't do that on the pickleball court. Let it come to you and you'll find it. And like, know yourself. Like, I'm a big drop guy and I'm really trying to master like the soft game.
Hmm.
And when I started like mastering that, like my game has really changed. And I don't have the skill or the reps to be, a banger like you tennis guys. I mean, I can tell when a guy walks on the tennis court, all right, touch him up to death. Like, send him the soft stuff. He'll pop it up. He'll start losing his mind. He'll cuss, but he's going to keep driving and let the balls go out. So, knowing your game and what you can do on the court that's very effective. I know I'm going to drop. Like my drops are effective. Don't drive it. It's a low percentage shot for me.
Oh, 100%. I think that's a really critical point that anybody in any sport, especially the racket sports, can take is you have to know your game and don't try to play outside of what your limitations are. And I see it all the time with kids that are just trying to do things that, they really just can't do, you know?
So I'll say this, and you'll kind of like this: is I've had a goal to have the hardest pickleball serve, the fastest, most powerful serve in the triangle, like where I live in North Carolina,
Mhm.
in the area. And so, like the mental game is sometimes when you send a serve out, I had made like a commitment to myself. I don't care if I send every serve out, like I'm still going to attack that serve. And a few weeks ago, I was playing rec. I couldn't keep it in the court. But I told myself, it's like, hey, it doesn't matter. Keep drilling as hard as you can. I don't think I got but one or two serves in out of 8 or 9 games. And the other team was even laughing at me. I know my partner he was fuming, but I stayed with it. I didn't really care. And the other part about the mental game is my only pet peeve is when my partner apologizes after making mistakes.
Mhm.
Like, and it's not like sorry about that. It's like they put their head down, their body language, and they linger with that attitude. It does that affects me. I tell them like, hey man, don't apologize to me anymore. I'm losing my focus because you're so out of it. Like I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. Just know that neither one of us meant to do that.
Oh, 100%. And I think that does that stem from your team sports background and the kind of the energy that your teammates can pump into you or deflate from you?
I don't know. I mean, maybe in my mind, I'm like, I would never apologize to my team in a timeout for missing a free throw.
Hmm.
I just kind of felt like that's a universal thought. Like I didn't go there to miss a free throw or a shot, so I'm not going to sit here and apologize. Let's move on. I just think that talking about it more kind of gives it a little bit of a hangover effect.
Oh, 100%. And you see it all across the country when you go to rec plays anywhere that you hear it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I think that's a really cool point, and people should drop that from the vocab. And then on the pickleball side of things, doubles or singles? You play both, or you like doubles better, singles better?
So I'm not very good at singles. I absolutely love singles,
Hmm.
and part of it is because of the challenge. And it's the only other sport I've played that can just absolutely bury me and leave me fully like it puts my tank on E. Like I'm just completely exhausted, and I love that feeling. It's like euphoric for me. So, um, within my first year playing pickleball, I entered a pro quality singles, and I mean, I absolutely got worked, but
Hmm.
uh, I had so much fun, and I'm not good at singles. I don't have the passing shots or the background, but I love to play singles. But I only compete now in doubles. It's easier on the body, and I'm much more competitive.
That's awesome, man. I'm curious too. Handling losses is something that I think a lot of, especially young people, but everybody sort of might struggle with a little bit. How do you handle taking a tight loss or a close game, you lose it, or you get blown out? How do you handle those situations?
I think you gotta look at what you didn't do right. I always try to use it as like you know a way to learn about your game and see what you can do right. I think losing sometimes is good.
Hmm.
Uh, you've got to. I played in China, and I had a coach tell me one time like the losing game is super important, and it kind of like a lot of people won't understand that, but how you look at your losses and how it affects you as a player really kind of like dictates your future. Like you got to be able to look at what you didn't do right. Why did you lose? Learn from that and improve it and improve your game.
That's a really great perspective. I think the way that you perceive the losses and even the wins too will make a big difference in how you move forward. So I appreciate that. Another question I have is, I remember when I was a kid, I was watching you play March Madness, and they were calling you Psycho T. I think does Psycho T come out on the pickleball court?
Uh, occasionally. In basketball, I'm such a physical player. There was a bunch of like, especially in my professional career, like, a little bit of like scuffles, trash talking.
Mm,
I try to leave that out of pickleball because I listen. Anybody who's played pickleball, we've all left the court embarrassed by some of our outbursts. Early on, when I played, I brought that and I let that go. Hey, I can't do that. One, because everyone's going to be very concerned about me as a person, but also it's not a good look. And it's pickleball. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to, display mental meltdowns. But I try not to do that. But I will say, like, I love the body bags.
mm,
Like I'm a big nasty Nelson person. I'll start the game with the Nelson. I'll end the game with the Nelson. And it is like an underrated shot because a lot of people don't see it coming.
mm.
And it's kind of like a seriously. I'm like, yeah, I got you. And I don't apologize. I will apologize, but more in like a trash talking way. Sorry about that, or something like that. Didn't mean to do it. Obviously, I did as a nasty Nelson, but yeah. So
No, that gets me fired up. And I was gonna ask you too about the trash talk on the court. Are you doing that a lot? Are you hearing it back on your end, or what's that experience been like for you?
I'm a massive trash talker. I do it. I might do it too much. It does. It offends people a little bit. My favorite is night night when I get an overhead and I slam it.
I love that.
Uh, and I get a net cord. I'm like, oh man, I hate it more than you guys. Stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, Pickleball is great for trash talk. I absolutely love it for trash talk. It's up there with basketball, sometimes. So yeah, I like that aspect too.
That's great. I love that. And something else that I feel is very common in the game. It's happened to me. It's happened to everyone. You get out there and you have maybe a little old lady, or in my case, a guy with double knee braces, 75 years old, and they just tear you up. Have you experienced that at all?
Yeah, pickleball 101 is you never judge a person by its cover. Like, don't judge a book by its cover in pickleball. Listen, when you first play, you're going to get worked. I got worked by the retirement community
Hmm.
at Ephesus Park here in our local pickleball courts. I mean, I was going out there. They had me. I looked like a baby giraffe trying to walk. I mean, I was just. They did whatever they wanted to me. And sounds funny, but that kind of drove me to work on my game. And I know everyone will laugh at it. I went out there and smacked those old ladies, and
Oh yeah.
and they will talk a lot of trash too, and they don't care who I am. They'll go out there. They'll call kitchen faults, everything, even if they weren't even close to kitchen faults. But yeah, I got worked by some people who look like they've never played a sport when I first started playing, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And something that I'm curious about too is you probably had the opportunity to play with some pretty cool names. Anyone in particular stand out that you've gotten on the pickleball court with?
Um, well, one of my favorite moments, I played in this event with Christian Alshon,
Hmm.
and he drilled with me for a little bit, and obviously, I think he's in my opinion, he's going to be the best pickleball player in the world, and that was a really cool experience for me. Um, I've played in a few exos, and um, I played with Hunter Johnson
Hmm.
in like a pickleball event. That was really cool. I'm such a fan of the sport. I just think it's really cool when I meet these pros and they actually take the time to play with some amateurs or former athletes, and uh, because I watch all the tournaments and I'm a fan just like everybody else. But um, so my favorite moments as far as winning though is when me and my brother first started playing. We went to Kansas City. They had like the golden ticket
Yep.
to get an invite to nationals in Dallas, and we were playing in the 3-5 division, and we won it, and we celebrated like we'd won the Super
Uh-huh.
Bowl. And everyone kind of laughs at us because it's a 3-5 division. I didn't care. Like, don't laugh at people for that unless they've been playing pickleball for 10 years and they have a high duper in the 3-5. Like, we were not like, we were 3-5s, and we worked so hard for that. And then actually a few months later, we won a 4-0 national tournament. And like, we were super pumped about that too. But yeah, those are my favorite two moments in pickleball, winning those two tournaments with my brother.
No, that's a really cool point on the it doesn't matter what level you are. If you're winning and it's exciting. I think especially in junior tennis, they have a level system, and if you play say a level 6, level 5 and you win that, you should be just as excited as if you win a level 1 or a level 2. So I think that's a really cool piece of insight. I'm also curious too. You guys have a new ball coach up in Chapel Hills. Any shot we can get Bill out on the tennis courts or the pickleball court? I'm sorry.
I have not seen Belichick at the pickleball facility. If he's there, you know what? I'll ask him. I will 100% try to get him on the pickleball courts if I ever run into him around Chapel Hill. I've only met him once, but I'm very excited that he's on staff. I'm looking forward to it. I still can't believe we got Bill Belichick, but yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it should be pretty cool. And if you do get a chance to play Bill, you won't take it easy on him, will you?
No, Belichick's gonna get body bag if he steps on the court. Listen, there's no friendships. You step on the court, anything goes. We're competitive. We're trying to win.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that fire. How about anything else you have for people that are trying to get into the pickleball game? Any tips or tricks or pieces on the mindset? Any last things there?
No, just enjoy the game. Like I always tell people, is like, listen, I won the 3-5-4-0. Like, I know it's the lower levels, but I'm not trying to be a pro. I just love the game, and that's where my game is right now. So, yeah, I mean, for me, my experience has been if you're trying to get better at pickleball, is like it's not going to happen overnight, just like any other sport. So enjoy the process, and make sure that you're patient with it.
I appreciate that a lot, brother. And my last question is, yeah, do you have any pickleball tournaments or events coming up?
Not yet. I'm trying to figure that out right now. So I've been playing with Ramsey Smith, Duke head coach for Duke men's tennis.
Okay.
He is a very good player, and he's mentioned a few times that he wants to team up. In a couple of tournaments. I'm just trying to figure out when he's available, but I'm super pumped up about that because he's a heck of a player, and I like playing with him. So we'll try to get in one tournament at least this summer.
And then I'm not sure if I heard you say that correctly. You said he's the Duke tennis coach. That's cool
Duke
with
men's,
Duke is
yeah.
cool with you? We're good with Duke?
You know what? I like Ramsey so much. I told him that if they played locally, I was going to wear a Duke men's tennis shirts
Wow, okay.
to their game in the tournament. So, yeah, sometimes you make exceptions.
I
So
like that. Well, I hope to get to watch you guys play together soon, and I'm looking forward to continuing to track your pickleball progress. It's really cool stuff, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And maybe if I get down there to the facility, we can get some games in.
Yes, sir. Of course, we'll treat you right down here, and let's do a trade, maybe a little pickleball paddle for some from North Carolina swag or what?
Absolutely. I always got, yeah, you need more gear. You need some Carolina
I
blue.
do.
I got you.
Fire me up, brother. I appreciate it. And that's another episode of Courtside Sessions, everybody. As always, big thank you to our guest, Tyler Hansbrough, our production team that worked so hard to put these together. And we'll be back with more episodes soon enough. Thank you, guys.